let me just make you aware that we are busy with how to apply appropriate editorial methods, procedures, and techniques. A quick recap from yesterday. We spoke about methods, and I mentioned all different types of methods, and we even touched on the very important things that one should have, the different skills. I hope you remember. We spoke about the research skill. We spoke about the creativity skill. And I said you need to search yourself and understand and see what type of a person are you, what skill are you holding, or what skill do you normally apply. I said to you, if we were doing this class face to face, I'd be able to can assess you and tell you exactly what skill do you have whilst we were busy. Unfortunately, I can't see you. I can't see how you react. Thank you very much. Any question from yesterday's class? How to apply appropriate editorial methods, procedures, or technique. Now, I've put there in big bold letters why methods matter. Methods are now viewed as a key element in establishing the credibility of the research being reported, alongside the open availability of data and results. The method section was once the most likely part of a paper to be unfairly abbreviated, overly summarized, or even relegated to hard to find section of the publisher's website. I've been repeating this in this module back, people studying English methods. That is why I keep on touching on different things. I don't just talk about the language of the lawyers or the language of the nurses, the language of the teachers. I just touch on different things randomly to make you aware how language is important and why should we have this specific language in this order. When we started, I tried to show you that language can be in different ways. You can use it, you can write it, but in different ways. That is why you have now came to understand that language has got categories. You know now that language has got categories, and those categories are not the same. You can use them differently. And you can use them as per your work, as per your studies, as per everything that you studied before. Yesterday, I asked the question, is the workplace important? Do we see people at the workplace being important to can be, wanted? Or how do I put it? Let me put it this way. Do we see the workplace being a place where people can fight for you? Employers fighting for you that we want this person because this person is going to, this person is good, this person is going to give us what we don't have. I asked, do employees value analytical skills? Because yesterday I dwelt deeper into analytical skills, that you must be that person who can analyze, you must be that person who can evaluate. And somebody give us the meaning of analysis. How do you analyze, and how do you call yourself an analytic person, and why should you have analytic skills? And we even went deeper to say, how do you showcase yourself? You know that you are an analytic person. You can be trusted because you will look beyond what you see as an employee, as a student, when you are doing your research, as just a human being. Wherever you are, your eyes are open to can analyze every situation so that you don't just do things or accept things at face value. Remember, I gave examples of the churches that we are having all over the place. People don't check, they just go there and be members without checking what is happening there. Why do people do things like that? I gave few examples, and I hope now we are going to understand each other from there. Now, you find that when you are an analytic person and you are a journalist, for instance, you have to be very, very careful. This sentence here means methods are now viewed as a key element in establishing the credibility in the research being reported, alongside the open availability of data and results. Now, if you are going to report on something, it doesn't matter whether you are a journalist, it doesn't matter whether you are a student, you want to report on something that you have seen, you have collected the data thereof. You've got to be careful. As an academic, you've got to be careful. You are not just going to say things that are not real, say things that are not accurate. You just talk and talk and talk like the social media people, the WhatsApp people, the Instagram people. They just talk, 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 and you don't know whether it is true or not. So you've got to have data in everything that you do. And when you want to be in academia where you want to research, where you want to write articles, that's very, very important that your data needs to be proven, that you collected this data, you interviewed people, you read a lot about what you are trying to put forward. The method section was once the most likely part of a paper to be unfairly abbreviated, overly summarized, or even relegated to hard to find sections of publishers' website. It's difficult for me to to explain this better because people are not reading newspapers anymore. We read the news from our phones. We read the news from TV presenters. They tell us what is happening. Now, what I'm talking about here is when something is just, told in a very short summary. And this is the big thing, instead of it being a newspaper. A newspaper okay, give me examples of newspapers that you know or that you have heard about. Sane?
It's Daily Sun newspaper.
Yes. Thank you. Daily Sun is a newspaper, yes. Melindy?
Hi, the Tiger Burger. I think I pronounced that correctly.
The what? the
The
burger.
Tiger Burger. Oh gosh.
Okay, Tiger Berg. Yes, it's Tiger Burger. And
Sorry,
there's
I'm
a newspaper.
Afrikaans.
Yes, and there is a newspaper also, the Burger. There is
Yes,
that
wait.
type of newspaper, yes.
Did I say it wrong now? I'm sorry.
No. But I could hear you. I hear what you are trying to say. And suddenly see where your hand is still up. Do you have another newspaper in mind? Sane?
It's Isolezwe newspaper.
So it's a newspaper also, yes. And remember that some newspapers are for the provinces, some are for the regions, some are municipality newspapers. They all differ and they report differently. Welcome, Asanda. They all report differently, and you'll find that what they are trying to report, for instance, a burning issue right now, it's electricity and the water. The newspapers are all over. They're talking about electricity. They're reporting about the water issues where people don't have water, where people are dying because the water is polluted, where people need to take care of water, and so on and so on. Now, when you look at that, I want to come back to this sentence that I mentioned. I'm sorry. When you look at that, overly summarized or even relegated to hard to find sections of a publisher's website, you find that some newspapers are eager and very, very interested in talking about politics. So and so did did this, so and so. They talk about politicians more than the real issues of our lives, like the water. You'll find that they summarize the issue of water in Hammanskraal in a very small space at a corner somewhere there. They don't want to tell us more about it. So if you are a journalist, you've got to be careful what you are reporting, how important it is to the people. That's very important, because if you report as if you don't care for us, you're only writing for politicians and people who are interested in politics, you forget that the same paper needs to serve everyone. It must serve everyone, not only a certain group of people. Same as the things that are happening, things are happening with other people's lives. Yes, they publicize it in big letters. So and so did so and so is divorcing who, so and so is doing this, cheating, whatever, things that are not for everyone. Those are the things that should get a very small corner, not the biggest page or half a page of the newspaper. Now you've got to be careful and how it is said. Yes, they put it in big letters so that it attracts us. Well, it will attract you if you are still not knowing which news gives you, life. There are things that you don't need in life. There are things that you need, but there are news that you just don't care about. While some journals may responsibly include more detailed elements of methods in supplementary sections, the movement for increased reproducibility and rigor in science has reinstated the importance of the methods section. It is important that you understand what you are doing. When you are researching and you want to write something, you've got to have a pure method how you're going to put this. I will show you why is it important that whatever you write should be correct and should be looked at later. Now, what to include in your methods section? The emphasis here are deliberate. The methods should be and should enable readers to understand your paper and replicate your study. If you are studying and you are writing a piece of article, we need to be able to replicate that. You yourself, you need to replicate that. Can somebody tell me what is the meaning of deliberate and the meaning of replicate? Any one of those two? What do you understand by the word deliberate? What do you understand by the word replicate?
But I think it means putting something there for a reason or with a purpose for it being there.
Okay.
Yes.
That is deliberate. You do it on
Yes.
purpose. Yes,
Yes.
I agree. Thank you very much. Melindy, your hand is up.
So like a replicate, if I'm correct, it's like making an exact exact copy of something. If that's
Yes.
right. Sorry.
You replicate it. It can be when. Now, what do we mean when we say your work should be a replicate of your study? It means, yes, you have explained what replicate is. You have explained what deliberate is. But why should we have them as deliberate? Why should we have them as replicate?
I think if you may be writing a story about the issues with ESCOM, then
Yes.
your story, your heading and your story should then be about that. You shouldn't maybe then in writing about ESCOM add something else
Uh-huh.
in terms of replicating your story, I think.
Mm-hmm. Why should we replicate and why should it be deliberate?
Replicate means copy, obviously, but gosh, Jolly G. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how to
Okay,
answer.
you'll have idea when you will have an idea when we are done. Or especially when you
Hopefully.
can start with the past slides, you'll come and understand what is happening. Thank you for trying. And don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Try so that you are able to can say, I don't understand this, so that we help each other here. Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, you've got to be very open so that you benefit from sitting here in the class. However, there is no need to go into level of detail that a lay person would require. What is a lay person? Before I move on, what is a lay person? Why is a person called a lay person? Who are these people called lay people? And
Could
you listen
I?
to the new. Yes, please, Melinda.
Is it someone that's not what's the word, qualified in like a specific I don't want to use the word thing, but a specific like what's lobo in English? Gosh, my Afrikaans. I'm sorry. They're not
Say it in Afrikaans, Melinda.
they're like not
Ambach.
yeah, ambacht. They're not qualified in a specific like, I don't know.
Qualified in.
Oh gosh, not a job, but like in a line of work. I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best.
They are not trained in any skill.
Yeah.
Yes, layperson is someone who doesn't have a certain ambach. Any of anything, you are a layperson. Any person who is trying to do anything is a layperson. Somebody who works as a gardener. This person has got a name, gardener, but this person is a layperson. A person who works as a cleaner anyway, this person is a lay person. Now, my sentence here stresses that there is no need to go into the level of detail that a lay person would require. Because if you write an article or you read a research proposal, for instance, to your lecturer, a lay person will not understand because they'll start asking questions. Most of the time, lay persons are not even matriculants. They haven't matriculated or they haven't even gone to grade 10 or grade 9. So they end up doing all these odd jobs. So they are classified as lay persons. It's very sad when people are classified that way. Remember the 2010, I don't know where were you, 2010 World Cup. People started coming with names of people who were doing this. They were creating vocabulary that is not there, not even in the dictionary. They were creating vocabulary just to enhance lay people that they should feel important. Some were real, some were not. So lay persons always also need to be respected, though, but it is not your responsibility if they don't understand your piece of writing. Because if you can try to write going to their level, you are not going to go anywhere, because you've got to explain each and every word that you are saying and how are you bringing it up. I'm saying this even you go to the courts. If you are studying law, when you go to the courts, lay persons are there, people who are not educated are there, people who don't understand the English language are there, but there are always interpreters who are supposed to tell them what is happening, how does it come to that. They focus on the message and not in detail why the prosecutor is saying this or why the magistrate is saying that. They just tell them that you have been sentenced for 6 months for stealing 10 rand. That's enough, they should know. And they will never even ask, just for stealing 10 rand, 6 months. They will never even argue about that, because they don't have the understanding of how law works. Okay, I hope I've clarified it. The focus is on the reader who is also trained in your field. Can you hear that? The focus should be on the reader who is also trained in your field with the suitable skills and knowledge to attempt a replication. What is interesting about writing? When you write, when you research in academia, your research will be kept for life. It's there. It will go nowhere. And there will be people who will be checking that somebody once wrote about this. Let me check how this person interpreted the whole situation. Right now, we expect researchers to talk about electricity, to research about the water, to research about hooliganism that is all over, what causes people to do that, to research about an in thing nowadays is children who are murdering their parents. No, those who are studying psychology will definitely have something to research. They will definitely have something to make the country, the world aware about these things that are happening. That is why it is important that you've got to acquire this kind of information, this kind of knowledge, so that the people who read an academic in academia will be able to read a research proposal and interpret it and continue to read that research. But a nurse in hospital won't have time to read a research proposal because it's not in her field or in his field. A football coach will have time to read about other clubs and other coaches, how they manage, how they make it to find themselves winning and so on. But I'm not going to be interested in that because coaching is not my field. Coaching football is not my field. But coaching people who are growing into anything, I can be there. So you've got to be careful that with the suitable skills and knowledge to attempt the replication, because the information that you are writing is going to come back to you. It's going to be there for life. There are old newspapers that are kept. That is why we have archives. Information is being archived so that one day when we need it, we can just go there and open the archive box and get the information that we want. Any question? Method section continued. Right. The materials and method section should provide enough detail to allow suitable skilled investigators to fully replicate your study. I want to cite an example. Let me cite an example of policemen. They are investigators in a way. They go all out to go and collect data. If you have done something wrong, they go out to go and collect data. Then we say they are investigating. So after investigating, they've got to replicate what they have collected. The data that they have collected needs to be replicated where? In court. Because they have investigated, they have collected all the information and the material, everything that is needed, because they are trained to do that. You cannot just go out and say, I'm an investigator, and you don't even know how to start. You don't even know where to start, because you won't be having what I mentioned yesterday. You don't have this analytical skill, because only people with analytical skills are able to can go through material, because they will definitely apply their skills to say, I'm going to check on this one. I'm going to make sure. They will apply their critical thinking skill. They will apply their research thinking skill, research analytical skill, their data literacy analytical skill, problem solving skill, and each one of how you apply them, how you use them. So it is very important to make sure that as a human being, you have that skill, that analytical skill. You can evaluate, you can check, you can go through something and come up with a different, your view. You can come up with a view, your different view. Even if somebody investigated something fully and it can be replicated well, you can still look at it and say, no, but I think here, this part is lacking. Researchers do that. When they read your proposal, they look at what they expect from a proposal. And what is it that they expect? And what makes them to think that they expect that is the topic that you have chosen to write about. If you choose to write about the inconvenience of electricity in hospitals, it's a topic. The inconvenience of lack of electricity in hospitals. That topic needs to be in your first paragraph to show that you understand what you are going to talk about. Now, that is why I say the reader will be able to can say, okay, now I expect Melindy to continue, tell us more about this lack of electricity and what makes her think that the electricity is an inconvenience in hospitals. You continue to write that. I'm just citing an example here. So what you include in your method section depends on what field you are in and what, because we are a class of mixed bag. I cannot just dwell on one, one career or one aspect. My main point here is to dwell on the language that you are able to can write in sequence. You are able to can show that you understand what you are doing. You are not just throwing words because you understand what a verb is, where a verb should be, and where a pronoun should be. How can you use a participle? You all those things that we worked on. So now it depends on what field you are in and what experiments you are performing. However, the general principle in place at the majority of journals is summarized well by the guidelines at PLOS 1. PLOS is Public Library of Science. I've put it in brackets there. Public Library of Science. It's a peer reviewer of any discipline within science and medicine. They put their, their guidelines that you've got to show this, you've got to come up with this. Can I check if you know the meaning of peer? You know the meaning of reviewer? I believe it means you're equal like classmates. Yes, they are your peers. You are right, Jarrod. You are right. Peer is your equal, like your classmates. And your friends are your peers. Your study partners are your peers. All those people are your peers. Okay? And reviewer, what is to review? Maybe let's put it that way so that you can find it simple. What is to review? What is to review? Nowadays, when people are going to court, it's a fashionable term that is there. I don't know why don't you answer me? Because when people are found guilty, they always say, I'm taking it for review. What does it mean? It's a common thing now that when people are found guilty on things or on the wrongs that they have done, they end up saying, I'm not accepting that I'm wrong. I'm taking this for review. What does it mean? It's also a common term, especially by politicians or people who don't want to be told in anything. I'm trying to lead you and give you an answer and you still don't get it. Yes, Asanda?
Something.
Yes, I missed you.
I said to question something or critique it.
Sure, Asanda. Can't hear you. Asanda, try again, please. Try again, Asanda. Have you written something on the chats, maybe? Let me check. Or to critique something. To critique something. Yeah, what do you mean when you say you critique something? What is to critique? We spoke about it. What is to critique? Remember that when we say you have a critical mind, I compared critical mind and negative critical people. I explained this. It was just yesterday. Anyone try? Yes.
You question
When you review,
when you question like
I'm saying, yes, you question if that thing, you question, you want to know, you want to know, you want to go deeper to understand if that thing is right. You review it.
Yes, the findings were based on what methods did they use, what did they look at, who did they interview, or how did they get that finding or to that decision?
Yes, exactly. That is to review. That is to review so that you say, let us get a second opinion. When you are sick and you go to a doctor and the first doctor says, you've got to go for an operation. Then you say, I hear you, but can I have a third opinion? What you are doing, you want to make sure that the first doctor is right. It's in a way, when you get an opinion, it's a way of reviewing what this person is saying. Thank you very much, Asanda. That's correct. Let us continue if there are no questions. The Public Library of Science, remember, all these faculties, all these disciplines do have libraries, different reviewers all over. There is no faculty or discipline that doesn't have its own library, its own reviewers. I picked up this one because I thought maybe it's common because we are trying to have more scientists in our country than any other place. Now, reviewers are there all over and they specialize in what they are doing. In education, there are different ones. In nursing, there are there. Medicine, science and medicine, they are there. They are there. It's not only the one, there are many. When you are becoming a writer, you are going to be wanting to report or to check with these people if what you are doing is right, it's not offensive, it can be read, it can be published. Same as publishers, they are all over the world. There are real publishers, there are those who are not doing the right thing, same as reviewers. Some of them, they will just criticize you only to find that they don't want to take your work and so on. I don't want to go into the issues of publishers and stuff like that. If there are no questions, I'm moving to my next slide. The emphasis are deliberate. The methods should enable readers to understand your paper and replicate your study. The emphasis, what is emphasis? I know you know these words, you are just not ready to share, or you don't want to share, but I know you know these words. They are not new words per se. Anyone? Do you have someone who can try or who wants to try? We don't want to try. You actually say, I can talk alone for.
I think it's the point, like the point of something, or the point is cool.
I can talk alone, Asanda.
I'm saying,
Asanda, you're cutting. Asanda, I lost you. Unmute, please. Unmute, Asanda, and start talking. Melindy, your hand is up.
Doesn't it mean when something is given special importance? I don't know how to say that correctly. Oh.
Oh, emphasis. Are you talking about emphasis, Melindy?
Yes.
The emphasis,
I don't know
because I said two words, emphasis and deliberate.
No,
You're talking about
deliberately.
emphasis.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I tried
Yes.
on emphasis.
Emphasis is, yes, when something is given special attention, stressed upon, like the example of you as students must learn how to write proper English. how to write properly in your different fields. You know, it is emphasized by the university that you need to write properly. It's an emphasis on the language because people will never go anywhere if they cannot construct proper sentences, proper paragraphs, and understand what they are saying using words correctly. So the emphasis is on what? On the language more than what we are doing now. So they emphasize the language. The emphasis is on the language. They emphasize on the language. So that's emphasis. And deliberate, they deliberately. Yes.
It doesn't deliberate mean on purpose. I don't know if it's in the correct like I don't know if I'm correctly answering it, but I'm trying. So I think it means on purpose.
Yes. Yes. It's on purpose. You did it deliberately. You were wide awake. Your mind was open. Your eyes were open, and you decided to do something that is hurting someone, or you said something that is hurting someone. It's on deliberate, on purpose. You wanted to do it. Most of the time, deliberate is used when something negative has happened. That when I say, oh, you did it on deliberate. There's no way that you didn't see me. You bumped on me on purpose. Do you understand? That's deliberate when you explain it and stress it. Now, the methods should enable readers to understand your paper and replicate your study. When I read your paper, I'm able to can replicate it, meaning I can quote it somewhere. Remember we spoke about quoting somebody's work in quotation marks. We can quote it, we can replicate it one day, we can go to the archives and find your work and replicate it. Right now, I've been trying to mention the most recent things that are happening in our country, like electricity, water, hooliganism, killings, and stuff like that. One day, after all these things have subsided or they are being controlled, we are going to say, "Yo, people wrote a lot about this. What was happening in 2023? 2023. What was happening?" Then we go back there. Then we can replicate your work to say, yes, people wrote about this. And here it is. It's now 2123. This thing is coming up. When you research, you find that people wrote about this in 2023. Now it's 2123. This thing is back. You are able, your work is being replicated. However, there is no need to go into the level. I'm stressing this one. I wrote it on purpose again here that don't go to the level of detail that a lay person would require. The focus is on the reader who is also trained in your field with the suitable skills and knowledge to attempt a replication. If you write to impress, you impress yourself. If you write to educate people, there is a certain group of people that you want to educate. If you write to just fill up the section of the paper, maybe it's a newspaper, you've got to have people in mind, the ones that you want to impress or the ones that you want to deliver your message to. It's very important that you don't just write for the sake of writing. You write for the sake of delivering a message. Even if you summarize your work in such a way that any person who reads that summary can get the gist of what you are trying to say. if you elaborate, anyone who reads the 2 paragraphs that you have written, they are able to can say, we see where it comes from and what is this person trying to say. So you are not just writing for the sake of writing, in whatever field. At work, for instance, maybe you are working and you are a secretary of the company. How are you writing? Are you just going to take the minutes as a person who doesn't understand the language? Or are you going to be accurate and be replicable in what you are writing? Because what you are doing is very important. Being a secretary of a company or being the PA of the manager, it's a very important role that you are playing, because whatever you are writing, whatever email you are sending out should be very clear. Your boss will just come and say, please send out a mail that we will have a meeting in 5 days' time. He doesn't tell you the date. He just says, in 5 days' time, you'll find the venue. And please choose the time. Check my diary and you'll tell me the time. Can you see that task is heavy? You've got to come up with the details. And after that, your next question will be, what is the agenda of this meeting? If you know what you're doing, your next question will be, what is the agenda of the meeting? By the way, what is an agenda? I'm asking now. Class, what is an agenda? You all know what an agenda is. Please don't disappoint me. You all know what an agenda is. Please say it. What is an agenda? Agenda.
Hi.
You don't even want to try?
Is it a list of things to be done?
Thank you. Very right. And to the
Okay.
point, a list of
Cool.
things to be done.
Awesome.
A list of things to be done in a meeting, to add that, because I can have a list of groceries to buy. It's a list, right? But it's a list of my groceries. But an agenda is a list of things to be discussed in a meeting. It's an agenda. We are going to discuss 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 or 10. So if you are you know what you want to write about, and the boss has given you that task, you are just going to want to say to ask him, what is the agenda of the meeting? Some things you don't have to ask: the welcoming, the register to be taken, all those things you don't worry. He doesn't worry about. You are also not worried about that, because you know you'll put them there. You just want to know the list of the topics that needs to be addressed in that meeting. That's what you are doing. So you emphasize on things that are very important. That is why I say the agenda of your meeting should be very, very clear. So if you are trained in your field as a PA, you know what questions to ask, you know what to write in that invitation to all the staff members about the meeting that is upcoming. You don't have to doubt anything, because the same meeting will also be a replication of what you have done or what you said the other day or the other time. Yesterday, I was saying, if you want to be a valuable employee, you need to have this analytical minded person. You must have that analytical skill. So you must have the skill of problem solving if you are a PA or a secretary. You need to have that problem solving, and you've got to be creative. Those are the things that you need to have. It's a skill. It's not something that you will just find yourself having it. And it's not easy to teach someone to have creativity skills. If you're an analytical person and your critical thinking is normal, I hope you remember what I said about normal and abnormal people that I see, which I didn't do any research on them, but then I say this person is not normal. So you've got to be this analytical person to be able to to enjoy what you are doing in your skill, in your work. You have this skill. There are people who are administrators, for instance, depending. This person is an administrator where? At the university, no. This person is an administrator where? At a local tavern. You administrate, you are an administrator at a tavern. It sounds like a cheap job and a job that people will say, yo, you are so proud to say you are an administrator at a tavern where people are getting drunk, it's loud, it's noisy. But your job is behind doors. You know, they are making noise that side, they're doing whatever. But you have the skill of controlling the stock, how much liquor was sold, how much liquor was bought, how much liquor was wasted, and so on. You administer the business. At that time, you are a business administrator. You are not a tavern administrator. You work at a tavern, but you are not getting drunk. People must not, or you must not put yourself down to say, yo, I'm even shy to tell people that I work at a tavern, of which what you are doing at a tavern, it's different from what people think. You are administering the business. You want to make sure that the business runs properly. There is no confusion on the hours. There are people inside that tavern, that inside that liquor house, who are serving liquor. What do we call them? What do we call them? uh, what do we call those people who are serving liquor at a tavern or wherever? Melindy?
Is it a bartender? The normal word for them is a bartender.
Melindy, try.
A bartender.
A bartender, yes, you are right. A bartender. And who is this one who's serving food? What do we call him?
A waiter.
Who's serving? A waiter. And a waiter is just waitering, just giving people food. There is someone who is cooking behind
chef.
doors. Who is that person? A chef.
Sorry,
So can you see that?
Sorry, I work in a wine estate, so this is my thing.
Oh, so you work there. That's great.
Yes.
Yes, so you understand. And still, when you are there, you've got to be this person who's got skills. You are creative. You come up with different things. Okay. Can I move to the next slide if there's no question? You know, it used to hurt me a lot. Let me share this with you. My father was called a laborer. Laborer. My mom was called a domestic worker. But they used to call her a maid. Ne? They call her a maid, and they call my dad a laborer. This made me so curious. I wanted to, because I saw this on some document at home. Now I wanted to know, what is a laborer? I was still at primary school and I didn't know the meaning of the word laborer. I asked, I checked it, then I understood, and it hurt me deeply. A maid, and the word maid and domestic worker, they hurt me deeply, that I don't want to be called that. I don't want to be that. And immediately I picked up that I have this safety. I want to be a teacher. I don't want to be called a laborer, because when you check what a laborer is, it's not very nice. A person who can just do anything. You say do this, they will do. You say pull this, they will pull. You say a laborer can, just like the lay person that we just spoke about. Then those are not beautiful names to be given to people. But if you are proud of yourself, like a person who is cleaning, you go to the mall, you find these ladies who are cleaning our toilets, who are cleaning the whole area. The place is always clean, squeaky clean. I always say to those people, especially the ones in the bathrooms, uh, can you welcome me into your office? Then the lady will laugh and say, what do you mean my office? Then I explain, this is your office. You work in here. Just like me, I go to an office somewhere. You work in there. So just to make them, to give them that boost, that the job that they're doing, it's not everyone who can do it. I can't do it, but so why not respect and give them courage of what they are doing? So they are skilled to be cleaners. Even when you look at their CVs, their resume that we spoke about yesterday, the skill there is A. That is why I say 2010, there were terms that were thrown around that people should change their titles to this and to that, but they didn't last. I don't know what happened to them. If there are no questions, I move on. I was just sharing with you the issue, my issue with the laborer and the maid and the domestic worker. A method section that enables other researchers to understand and replicate your results is a constant principle of rigorous, transparent, and open science. Now you're going to tell me, what is rigorous? What is transparent? Try. What is rigorous? What is transparent? When we say something is rigorous, when something is transparent, what do we mean? You're not going to be quite like that. You, please. You are not going. Yes, Melindy. Melindy, unmute.
Sorry. Rigorous means you're extremely what did I careful, I think.
Say it.
Extremely careful.
Extremely careful, rigorous.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have it right.
What is, okay, this mother tongue interference in your head? What do you want to say in Afrikaans?
Oh gosh, I cannot translate that now. My brain is gonna be scrambled. Isn't rigorous?
I wanted you to say it in Afrikaans. I might help you.
Isn't it thorough? I think thorough.
You're cutting now. I didn't get you. What do you say?
Doesn't it also mean thorough? I think I said it correctly, or I don't know if I pronounced it correctly.
What did you say? I didn't hear.
Like extremely thorough.
Extremely strong.
No, thorough. Maybe I'm gonna type it. Maybe
Okay.
thorough.
Thank you.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Oh, thorough. Okay. I see
Sorry.
that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Extreme. Extreme, thorough. Yes. It can be thorough. Extreme is overly done. Overly. Thorough is close to perfect. It's close to perfectness. Like mistakes, you can't find any mistakes in something. But extreme is sure. You have gone more than, yes, it's plus thorough, but now it's above thoroughness. You're way up. You're way up. That is what we are talking about when we say it's extreme. Okay, thank you, Melindy. And rigorous. I got you. Rigorous, extreme, thorough, overly done. They're the same. Okay. Transparent. I thought you'll see that I'm asking the same question. Transparent, what does it mean? Transparent, please. Who wants to try? Now Melinda's gone, no one is going to talk to me. Asanda? Yes, Asanda?
Hi, being transparent. I think being truthful, as clear as you can be, or as honest as you can be, not hiding anything, and just
Open. If you're
yeah,
open, if you're, yes. Yeah.
like no, just be clear, Jay.
You're not hiding anything. You are transparent. Yes. You are open. There is no issue that you are hiding, or there is no any information that you don't want to tell us about. You pretend as if you don't know, but you know. So you are not transparent. You are not saying things that happened when you were there. You are just hiding stuff. And when you are a writer, when you are reporting something, you've got to be transparent. There is a saying that goes, I'm as open as a book. What you see is an open book. This person is trying to say, I am transparent. There is nothing that I'm hiding. What you see is just me. I don't have any hidden agenda. So when you write, you've got to be that person. When you report on something, you've got to be as transparent as possible. Now, aim to be thorough. Even if a particular journal doesn't require the same level of detail, aim to be thorough. Even if a particular journal doesn't require the same level of detail. I am speaking here about a journal, but I'm just summarizing it to say, even if whatever you are doing when you write or when you report something, try by all means to be thorough. Give everything in detail and don't leave anything out, even if you will think, this is minor, they might not need this. Don't leave anything out. Report on that and make sure that people understand. You give the details. You are thorough. Thorough being perfect. Thorough being rigorous. Thorough being going beyond what is expected. When you are an employee, like I've cited an example of a PA, you must always try to go beyond. Your boss said the last meeting. Okay, give me the minutes of the last meeting. And as a person who always try to be rigorous and transparent, last minutes, you see that, but the minutes started from the other meeting. Then you bring that also. Then when they ask, why do you bring now this? Then just follow. You'll see that this issue started somewhere. It didn't start from the last minutes. It started somewhere. What you are trying to do there, you are trying to be this therapist. You go beyond. You know, there is a saying again that says, when you are given something, go an extra mile. Any right person who's got normal analytical skills, who is creative, who goes beyond what is expected, will always take an extra mile or two. The people you are working for. As an employee, you are always there to show that you can do something better, far better. Remember yesterday, I even explained the pros and cons of being this person who is having the skill of critical analytical mind, that you can be a thorn to other employees or even your bosses. But if you handle it properly, you'll find yourself that you get a reward out of that, because you open the eyes of your co-workers on something that they didn't see, because you are a problem solver. When you see a problem, you come with a solution. You just don't look at it and say, it's not my responsibility. It's so and so's responsibility. And in a situation like that, you find that the ball is being passed from A to C, from C to B, from B to A again, from A to C again. Then there is nothing happening. There is nothing happening except talking about it. So an analytical person doesn't have time to talk about things. You have time to put it into motion, into practice, because talking about it doesn't solve the problem. But doing or acting upon it, it's solving the problem, right? I always say I don't listen to the news because people talk. I don't want people who talk. I want people who do. So it's a different ball game in my life, that I can't stand people who are just talking. But I want, when you say, when I'm in a meeting, you say, I see this is happening. Don't say that before you even have a solution, because I'm going to ask you, what do you think we can sort it out, before I bring my own inputs to the problem, or you have read about the problem, you are aware of the problem. I'm not. I'm hearing it for the first time. So say it out and come with a solution. We will just support it. Okay. An effective person does that. You say something and you become a problem solver. You cannot create any problems by exceeding a minimum standard of information. You cannot create problems by exceeding a minimum standard of information. Yes, some people will say, I'm only doing it by the book. I only do up to here. I can't go beyond this. In some offices, people are to knock off at 4:30. But 4:00, people are already in their cars, or they're already walking out to the bus stops. What does that mean? You are cheating. You are cheating your employer of 30 minutes of your work by leaving early, of which you are not supposed to do that. So you create a problem. Maybe just at 10, you left at 4, you're supposed to knock off at 4:30. At 4:10, something comes up, you are needed and you are gone. And tomorrow you'll be lying, saying you went to the bathroom, whatever. Then it's another story. So you cannot create any problems by exceeding a minimum standard of information. If you exceed that minimum, going an extra mile, what do? You open the eyes of the people. You are applying your critical analytical mind. You are showing that you know, or you are showing that you are there to contribute, not to be a problem. If a journal still has word limits, either for the overall article or specific sections, and requires some methodological details to be a supplemental section, that is okay, as long as the extra details are searchable and fine. Your article now, sure, you are writing and are expected to have. I've been kicked out, but I'm back now. Class, I'm back now. So starting from your honors, when you are being trained to research as an academic, there are limits. You've got to write up to this far, so many pages, so many words. You do your master's degree, you've got to write so many words and so many pages. Same with your PhD, you've got to write so many words, so many pages. Journalism also they do have word limits. You've got to write so many words and so many pages. Well, with journalism, it can be pages if it's a newspaper. You are just given the slot. Same as when you are interviewing someone on TV. By the way, those people are journalists. You are going to be given time. We are going to interview you for 3 minutes. So please answer the questions. We only have 3 minutes for you to explain or tell us your story. The limits are always there. But when they put the limits, there is always a room for you to now say, for them to say, okay, we said 3 minutes, but we can go 3 minutes and 10 seconds so that this person summarizes or closes down nicely. So word limits are very important. Even the time slot. If you listen to radio is different from television. Radio, they talk after every, I don't know whether it's 5 minutes or whatever, there is some people talking, selling, whatever. They've got limits of how to advertisements are always there. They advertise for advertisements that I spotted the other time that they are so long. It's like a movie instead of just telling us what Nando's can offer and so on. They make them longer. And the longer the advert is, the more the money. Now, if you are given word limit, be careful on that. You've got to report on that. When you write an article, you just have to do that. When it's a research article, you also know that it must be up to this number, and requires some methodological details to be in a supplemental section. There is this method of how you put your story. A researcher in academics doesn't report like a journalism report. They report differently. They have their story differently. A person who is reporting about electricity being a problem in the hospital, the example that I gave, a problem in the hospital, and an academic researcher who researches about the same topic, they have the same idea and the same content, but their way of collecting data is different. Because an academic will go to the hospital, interview people, observe what is happening, and so on and so on, of which a journalist will just go there. A journalist will also interview, but very, very short and quick. Very short and quick. And they expect answers. They don't have time to stay there and ask more questions because they want their article to be published immediately, of which an academic researcher has got time to say, I want to write this thoroughly. This is a thesis that is going to educate more people. It will be replicated more than once. So it must be thorough. So that's what I'm talking about, that word limits are very important, but you can go beyond a little bit and it is allowed. That is, I'm giving you the example of a radio, the example of a television advertisements or interviews. They have to talk for a certain period. Same as when you announce a football match. You've got to be accurate, tell the world what is it that you are seeing on the ground. By the way, radio is there for people who cannot see but can hear. So the announcer must be very much accurate. Now, that is okay as long as the extra details are researchable and findable. Don't go about adding things that you didn't research, adding stories that you didn't research. Then you'll be like the people that I told you about yesterday in an accident, that you see an accident, you take pictures, and you want the whole world to know that you were the first person to take pictures, and you relate a story. You don't even know how did the crash come or what happened, but you just look and say, oh, this car is facing there, this one is facing there. You put it as if you were there, and that is correct. So you've got to be very, very, very careful on what you are reporting and what you are saying. Any question, class? Any questions? Any questions? No questions? No questions, and I'm left with 3 students. If there are no questions, let us continue. My next slide. Imagine replicating your own work years in the future. You are busy doing your work, you are busy writing about something or reporting on something. It is recommended that planning the level of detail in your method section by imagining you are writing for your future self, replicating your own work. It is so good to write and go back to say, hey, I once wrote this. I once wrote this article. You are not only writing for people to use your work or to refer to your work or to quote you. You are not doing that only. You are writing to your future self, because You might take the same article that you have written and repeat it or use it in a different way. Have you seen how musicians change the songs? The same song that they sang 20 years ago, the same words, the same lyrics of the song, they replicate them. They take that same song and sing it in a different way. They replicate it. I'm trying to get, yeah, here is an example. Benjamin Dube will sing Wahalalela. He sings Wahalalela in different ways. He is replicating himself in different ways, singing Wahalalela, Wahalela. Somewhere he adds it, he changes it to say it in English. Somewhere he changes it to be in vernacular only. And so he's replicating the same song many, many times. So when you write, it's just like that. You are writing for your future self because you are going to use the same words. Now, when you consider that you might be at a different institution with different account logins, applications, resources, and access level, you can help yourself imagine the level of specificity that you yourself would require to redo the exact experiment. You know, when I'm out to assess students who wants to become teachers, there is this question that I like. Tell me, ma'am, after the lesson, tell me, is there anything different that you can do if I can give you another chance to teach the same lesson? At that time, I expect the student teacher to tell me how he or she feels about the work that she has done right now. So you give account of what you have done. And are you satisfied? Are you happy with what you have done? Because before I tell you, after I have assessed you, before I tell my story or my side, I ask you, can you, if I can give you another chance, is there anything that you can change or you can do differently? Some will say, yes, I think I will do this and this and that. I'll walk around or I'll do what. Others will say, no, I won't change anything. I'll repeat exactly what I did. It depends again on the confidence that the person has and the resources and the access levels. So you can help yourself imagine the level of specificity that you yourself would require to redo the exact experiment. It's very easy to repeat something if you have done it. And when you repeat that, you are going to be a different person because you might not do it the same way as you did it the first time. When you do it the first time, the first time, it's different. When you do it the second time, you have improved in some of the things. When you do it the third time, you excel now. You've got exactly what you think or what makes you feel good about what you're doing because you are redoing, you've got the exact experiment. In life, there is this thing that is called experience. There is this thing that is called experience. People say we don't want to employ a person who doesn't have experience. But professions like teaching, nursing, medicine, all these professions, you don't hear a requirement of experience. If you are a student teacher who has completed and you apply for a position in a vacancy or a position in one of the schools, they will never ask you if you have experience. They will just look at your qualification. If they want somebody who specializes on something, they will just look at that and you are employed if you qualify. If you exert yourself properly, if you show them that you are a real teacher with the teacher's character, that's what they will look at. I was saying, I told you even yesterday that my take on interviews nowadays, since qualifications are doubtful, my take on interviews would be, if it's a teaching position, the panel should sit there with the teacher and the teacher should teach. It's part of the interview to show us that, yes, I'm a teacher, I can teach. If you are a bricklayer and you want this job, part of the interview should be, let us go outside. There's a building. There are bricks there that we use. We want you to, we want you to show us that you are a bricklayer. How do you lay these bricks? Then it's part of the interview. Because that's just my take. Get me clear on that one. That's just my take, because nowadays, qualifications are sold, qualifications are bought over the counter. Hey, things are happening. So you are never sure if this person will be able to build a bridge. This person says they've studied this and this and that, high qualifications, some from other countries and so on. But when it comes to the real job, they cannot do it. So I don't know, what is your take on that? It's just a piece of something to think about. Now, in all these things that I've been talking about from yesterday to today and the other day, there is what we call ethical considerations. In academia, there is ethical considerations. In journalism, ethical considerations. In medicine, ethical considerations. In everything that we do, we've got to be ethical. Can someone explain what ethical is? What is to be ethical? When I say this person is not ethical, this person is ethical, what does it mean? What is ethical? Yes, Melindy?
Doesn't it mean to be truthful?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
To be truthful, you are right. To be truthful and not say things that are not there. You are ethical. You are not spiteful. You are not taking people or taking any stuff the wrong way. We've got now. Have you ever heard of the Poppy Act? The Poppy, what does it mean?
The
Or
Poppy
what
Act.
is, why is it there? Why do we have that? Yes, why do we have it?
I know that people talk about the Poppy Act when like someone wants, you have to like ask a person permission to do something,
Why
like for
is it
example
there?
take a photo. Is it that?
Yes, I'm listening. I lost you somewhere.
Oh, no, like I know my parents talk about the Poppy Act as, for example, like when you have to basically ask someone permission to take a photo of them. That's where I've heard of the Poppy Act.
You have heard of the Poppy Act.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you hear my
When
description?
you do, yes, when you do
okay.
anything without somebody's permission, you are not ethical. You are not doing the right thing. Not only about photos, even just using my name without telling me that you are going to use my name. If you are writing, you have to quote me and make sure that it is clear that you are quoting. I was telling you the other day of Turnitin. When you write an article, there is a system at university, UNISA, in universities, they have that system, they turn it in. They call it turn it in. You write after writing, you submit your document there, and this system is going to tell you exactly how many books have you stolen, how many books have you copied, how many books have you made them yourself, made as if they are yours, and not quoting that so and so wrote this or so and so says this. You paraphrase, you keep on paraphrasing other people's work. You're not doing your work, you're not original, you are not ethical. And every department, every university, every college, every institution, they all have their different ethical issues. They have a way of doing things, but there are common ones. Ethically, you cannot insult people. It's a common thing, it's all over. Ethically, you cannot take somebody's property. It's not ethical. Those are common ones, but in different institutions, you find that the ethics differ, just like a home. When you come to my house, I have things that I regard as very important. You cannot come to my room without knocking. It's not, to me, it's not ethical for you to just come to my room without knocking. But in some houses, there's nothing wrong with that because you are a member of the family. Those are things that fall, the neat little things that we see under ethics. Now, at university, you even have to write when you are researching, you even have to write your ethical consideration. What is it that you need to consider when you write about the learners? Or like, let me go back to my example of electricity problems at a hospital. You cannot just go there without asking permission, starting from the university and the hospital itself and the ward matron and different people there. You need to ask them if you can do that. You are ethical by so doing. And when you write, you will say, I am writing this, I will be doing this, I'll be asking this, I will consult with so and so before I do this interview at the hospital. So you are being ethical. You've got to be considerate when it comes to ethics. Journalism also. Anything that you write, you've got to be ethical. If you report something on TV, you've got to be ethical. If you are being interviewed about your boss, for instance, tell us in this hotel, we hear that things are happening, people are not treated properly, the linen is reused without being washed. What do you think? As an employee, you've got to be careful. You've got to be ethical. Yes, you will answer, but you've got to be ethical because this person can end up suing you. You say things that are not there, but they are there. You say things that are not there, but they are there. So you've got to be careful. In addition to describing what you did, it is just as important to assure readers that you also followed a relevant ethical guidelines when conducting your research. It's supposed to be there. You've got to write it, your ethical consideration. You'll take a page or two just telling how you are going to do it or how you did it to be on the safe side. The ethical guidelines. Because when you conduct the research, there's no way that you're going to escape the ethical part. You've got to have that. If you don't have it, then your research will be null and void because you failed to keep the standards of ethics And as I've just mentioned, every university is just like every home. It has got its own ethical issues, ethical standards that needs to be taken care of. Now, while standards and reporting guidelines are often presented in a separate section of a paper, and you actually follow those guidelines, then I've put a line there. Read ethics before you embark on anything. Please read more about the ethics or the ethical consideration of what you are going to do. I've given them an example of academics because that's all I know. The research in academia, but you have ethical consideration in everything. Okay, there is this thing that they always advertise that in the radio media, they always say, if you are not happy about the stories that are told, please report this to this number or email to this number. Those are ethical considerations. They don't just come from nowhere. They come from people who want to say, we want to do this and understand this. So those are ethical considerations. Any question or clarity that you need?
Is that, can I ask something?
Sorry, Asanda?
Oh, yes. I wanted to ask, is that why in movies now, when they do credits, they write, maybe if it was movies about animals, that no animals were harmed, whatnot? Is it because of
I
ethics
lost you,
and
Asanda.
hello?
I
Can
lost
you hear
you.
me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, so I was asking, and you know, when you're watching a movie, when it's finishing, they do the credits. If it's about animals, they usually
Yes.
write, "Oh, animals were hurt," and in the making of this movie, is it based on ethics and what you just explained?
Yes, it's based on ethics. Yes, exactly that. You've got it. Ethics, you've got to, anything that you do, there is something that tells you how to do it. The ethical part, the ethical consideration of that, what you are doing. That's the one. And that is why I was giving you also the radio and the TV one. They always say, if you're not happy about this, know that you can report whatever you want to report, language or the shows that are not good for children, and we were not given notice that this show is not for children under 12 years or for children over 18 years and so on. So, so those are ethical considerations. Any other comment? My next slide is on visual aids for methods that help when reading the whole paper. Some people prefer visuals. Some people want to see visuals so that they don't forget. And some people just want to read. You know, when you see something, it registers in your mind and it will never go away. Take, for instance, children at primary school. They play, they look at something, and it registers into their mind. From childhood, when the child is born, they mimic, they do whatever. So that is the method of them to learn and come to reading the same way. In my other module, this is what we spoke about a lot. Consider whether a visual representation of your methods could be appropriate or aid understanding your process. A visual reference reader can easily return to, like a flow diagram, decision tree, or a checklist, can help readers to better understand the complete article not just the methods section. So when you use visuals, you must be clear that you use visuals because they will be helpful. It will be an aid to the people who are reading what you are trying to tell them. But if you come with visuals that are not matching your story, then it's useless. When you study, some people will say, I prefer to have my things written in a certain way. They throw their mind into something on a paper, but when you look at the paper, you don't understand it. But the person who is doing that understands what is this person doing, like a flow diagram, like a decision tree or a checklist. It helps you. So if you are a journalist and you want to use visual aids for methods, then you are not writing for adults, you are writing for children, or you are writing for young people because they are the one who will be interested in aids. But adults will be interested in the gist of the story before they want to check what you are trying to say in visuals. So you've got to be careful to target. When you write, who are you targeting? Are you targeting people who will understand you? Are you targeting people whom you will make sure that you will reach them? If it's an awareness, like I spoke about, some articles are just an awareness of something, then you've got to be careful how to use your visual aids. A clear method section impacts editorial evaluation and readers' understanding, and is also the backbone of transparency and replicability. This is my closing paragraph. A clear methods section impacts editorial evaluation and readers' understanding, and is also the backbone of transparency and replicability. Right. Now, see the diagram that follows. Here it is. I picked this one because I want you to understand when you put on paper something. That step one, remember your method section serves two purposes: helping readers understand your study and helping others to replicate it. You might not be able to see these steps, but because you're going to receive the slides, you will see them. I have step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5 there, just to show you, to introduce you to the way of writing, your way of thinking, your way of showing that you understand what you are doing. Step 2, constantly provide enough. Step 2, constantly provide enough information for full replication. Even if a particular journal doesn't require it, detailed methods are key to rigorous, transparent, open science. Step 3, imagine yourself replicating the study years in the future. What information would you need to reproduce your own work? Don't forget to capture any adjustments. Step 4, consider a visual aid. Flow charts, decision trees, and checklists make your methods more clear and help readers interpret the study. The last one, adhere to ethical standards and reporting guidelines. Through ethics, though ethics will be discussed in another part of the paper, it is vital that your methodology meets the applicable standards and guidelines for your discipline. class, these 4 steps is everything that I have been talking about. It's just a summary of everything that I've been talking about since we started our lesson. So you can take it and use it and remember what to do, whether you are in journalism, whether you are just writing for your boss, or whether you have to know these things so that you become an employee that will be hunted after. Even after you have left, they'll keep on saying, so and so used to do this better. So and so used to write the best minutes that we ever had. So and so used to clean this part better than this one. You register yourself in such a way. Any questions? Thank you very much. I recap my lesson with that picture of steps.